much for being here, and if you're new here, hello. My name is Ashley. I run things here at Oak Gal, and welcome friends to another day of Vlogmas. Today, this is a Q&A video. I'm so excited. I love Q&A videos so much. I love them. Y'all know I love talking, but I also just love answering questions that I know people want answers to. Like these questions, well, part of them were given by y'all. I have them written right here on that last What I Eat in a Day video that I did. I asked for questions for a Q&A, so I have all of those written here. And then my friend Jess over at Journey to Healthy, I will link her channel below, she actually tagged me in a Q&A video, and instead of doing like a separate tag video for that, I chose questions that I enjoyed, that I thought would be interesting, and included them on here with y'all's questions. So we have like questions from all over. I'm going to be answering them randomly whilst wrapping all of Daisy's presents. I actually already wrapped any present that's not for Daisy, like presents for my entire family, for Cernan's family. All I have left is Daisy's stuff. So that's what we're going to be wrapping today. In other news, Daisy's not here tonight. She's with my parents tonight and tomorrow. It's a Saturday night, and this is going to be turned into a Tipsy Q&A. This is my third glass of bubbly rosé. It's like 9 p.m. so just relax, okay? And I don't have a kid. I don't have to get up early tomorrow morning. I don't have to turn a monitor on when I go to sleep. I'm enjoying myself, so it's gonna be like a Tipsy wrapping Q&A. I also had like these really big plans earlier in the day to, you know, I worked out, so I was like, oh, later I'm gonna shower, I'm gonna do my hair, I'm gonna do my makeup, just so that I look like, you know, a little bit more presentable for this video. Nope, I come at you barefaced, fully in my comfy clothes, my pajamas, air dried hair, and that's how we are going to wrap presents and answer questions tonight, my friends. So cheers to that. All right, so we are just gonna jump in and get started. We're gonna start with a question from Jess's tag video, which I think is a question that a lot of people wanna know the answer to, and that is, do you like blue cheese? I actually love blue cheese. I really, really like it. Now, here's the thing. I prefer it more when it's accompanied by something sweet. And if that's the case, I will eat it like all the live long day. Like if you give me blue cheese and some honey, blue cheese and some jam, blue cheese and some fig preserves, like on a charcuterie board, I love it so much. I am here for like blue cheese stuffed olives, blue cheese in a salad. I love me some blue cheese. All right, quick editing note, friends. I forgot to mention that I will not be answering, and this is completely my fault, but I will not be answering any questions that have to do, well, most questions that have to do with like keto to low carb, making that switch, how I'm enjoying low carb, what I weigh now after switching from keto, because Christmas Day, you guys are gonna see a video all about that. Like I'm talking about the transition, like 6 months later, how I'm feeling, what I'm feeling mentally, how I'm doing in regards to that. So if you asked a question about those things in particular, have no fear. There will be answers to those. It just won't be in this video. All right, someone asked, and I say someone because I just wrote down the questions. I didn't write down who asked them. Someone said, what made you start a YouTube channel? So I feel like this is a very multi-part answer. So I documented my initial keto journey on Instagram. We went keto for a month in 2018, and I documented all of it on Instagram. And once that month was over, I thought to myself, I really liked doing that. I liked talking to a camera. I liked explaining different parts of my day, what I was eating. Honestly, even if it wasn't just about keto, if it was like what I was doing throughout the day, I really liked it. And so that was kind of like step one that pushed me to start a YouTube channel. And that was even before like I was like solely kind of like keto and food focused. Because this would have been in, after that month, it would have been April 2018. And I started my YouTube channel in May, I believe, of 2018. And then there was another creator, her name is Juliana. I'll link her channel below. I don't follow her anymore just because I don't really connect with her content, but at the time she was kind of like, she played a pivotal role in me just like doing it. Like she just jumped right in, started a channel, had a young kid around Daisy's age, and I just thought like, I literally thought to myself, like, if she's doing it, why can't I do it? And so it was kind of like the combo of both, and that's what made me start it. I was also looking for a hobby for myself. I was a stay-at-home mom, and I was looking for kind of something else to fill my time, and this kind of just like, starting a YouTube channel just checked all the boxes for me. All right, next up is how long have you lived in San Diego? So, Cernan and I were both born and raised in San Diego. Like this is like where we grew up, where we were both born. And then in 2011, right after we got married, so we got married in June of 2011, and it was actually like, I think April of 2011, Cernan moved up to Seattle. Like we wanted to do this, like we wanted to move to Seattle. So he moved up to Seattle, flew back down to San Diego for the wedding, and then I met him up there in August, and we were there for 6 years. We moved back to San Diego in June of 2017, so Daisy was like 6 months old, and we've been here ever since. All right, another question from Jess's tag video: Coke or Pepsi? Coke. Coke, Coke, Coke. If your answer is Pepsi, just don't, I don't even want to talk to you. I think Pepsi is absolutely disgusting. Before I started drinking sparkling water, and when I was like a soda fiend, like we drank soda, but both of us drank soda all the time. Never drank full sugar soda, always drank diet, but still, when I was drinking diet soda, if I went to a place that only had Diet Pepsi, I would drink it and ask for a lemon, because I feel like when you like squeeze a lemon wedge into it, it like kind of makes it doable. But now, no, there's no way. If I am like craving a soda and I order a Diet Coke and they only have Pepsi, I will get sparkling water or club soda or whatever, because Pepsi is garbage. Okay, someone asked, how do you figure out your grocery budget? Ugh, this is a good question. So, honestly, for us, like, I don't want to say it was like tricky, but it was more of us looking at how much we were spending, because we've like always like loosely budgeted groceries, but y'all know now we're on like a budget, where I'm like actually subtracting on a whiteboard how much I spend on groceries. So there was always like a goal, right? Like, here's the number I would like to hit when it comes to groceries. So we kind of looked at that, and then looked at how much we spend on like midweek runs. So, you know, a lot of times in the middle of the week, Daisy and I will run to Target or something, and maybe there's nothing grocery related on our list, but we end up walking out with, you know, fruit snacks and, I don't know, Zevia Kids or, you know, something else. And so we kind of factored that in too. So how we kind of figured it was like, we basically budget for our normal grocery amount and then leave a bit of wiggle room for the things we would have bought midweek. But I think of what I possibly could purchase midweek, and I make sure to lump that in with our whole grocery trip, because the midweek visits to insert store here, Target, Walmart, Trader Joe's, wherever, were not killing us, but we're definitely taking away from the budget. So that's just kind of how we did it, and I think that that's a good way to budget. It's like, look at what you're spending, factor that in, and then maybe look at, you know, the outliers, the stuff that you're spending, the money you're spending on groceries that maybe you're not thinking about because it is happening midweek, and then kind of go from there. All right, next up is whiskey, vodka, or tequila. Definitely tequila. Now, listen, I am a wine and hard seltzer drinker through and through, but if I have to pick a hard alcohol, it is going to be tequila. I feel like it's so versatile. It's the one out of those three that like sits the best with me in terms of like, doesn't tend to make me sick. Even if I drink like a decent amount of it, I can do a shot of it and like survive. So definitely tequila. Someone asked, how did you determine your macros and calories? So I determine these pretty much the same way all of the time, which is I find an app that I'm enjoying in the moment. It currently is the Lose It app, and I enter in all my info, what my goals are, what type of, I guess, diet I want to be following, or like, I guess, lifestyle I want to be following. And then I let them figure it out, and then I curtail that however I need it to be. So I know there was a time there where I was eating too little calories, like it was not enough. I don't remember if it was 1,200 or 1,300, but it was not enough calories for me. And I remember I made a what I eat in a day video where I talked about that, and I ended up upping my calorie intake. So that's kind of how it's always worked for me, whether I'm doing low carb or keto, or even way back in the day when I hadn't even heard of eating keto or low carb and I was just doing calorie counting. I enter in my weight, what weight I want to be, my height, how I kind of want to eat, see what it punches out, and then kind of like configure it to what I want. I feel like that's kind of like the easiest way to do it. You get some guidance, but then you also get some say if you find out that that's not enough for you. All right, hot dog or cheeseburger? I liked Jess's questions from her video because a lot of them were like this or that, this or that. And I think that those questions are like, I like listening to people answer those because I feel like they're really interesting. So hot dog or cheeseburger? If I have to pick between the two, by a mile, a cheeseburger, okay? Listen, I don't like hot dogs that much. Here's when I will eat a hot dog: when I go to a baseball game. Do you know how frequently I go to a baseball game? Probably like once every 3 years. I just don't. I have tried to do the keto pigs in a blanket, and trust me, I've made it and I've eaten it maybe 2 or 3 times. I am just not a hot dog fan. There's something about like ballpark hot dogs that's different to me. But in terms of like me buying a hot dog and making it, absolutely not. A cheeseburger, yes, hands down, here for a cheeseburger. I literally don't even care if it's just like a bun with meat and cheese and that's it. Like, fine by me. Oh, okay, so this falls in with the budgeting question. I know that this was from the same person, and they said, what are your other budget categories? So we have a lot. Our other budget categories are things like gas. We have a Daisy. So this was also when things were like open. So like when the zoo and Wild Animal Park and SeaWorld, or Safari Park now, and SeaWorld were open and we were going there, basically the Daisy category was like anything I would purchase there. So like the Safari Park, we have to pay for parking, or maybe we go to the zoo and she gets a cookie, or we pay to feed the giraffes, or you know, something like that. We have that like as a budget item. We have a Costco, a whole separate thing for Costco. So even though a lot of times that's groceries, that's a whole separate budget category. What else do we have? We have a slush fund, which is basically like if we buy something and we're like, this doesn't fit in any of these categories, where do we put it? We take it out of that slush fund. We have a dog budget for dog food, dog treats, groomer, vet visits, anything like that comes out of the dog section. And that's really like, I mean, a lot of those things are consistent, you know, every 2 weeks when we get a paycheck, but it's really important to kind of look at your next couple weeks ahead to see what's coming up? Is it gonna be, or do you have a couple birthdays? Should there be like a birthdays budget? Do you have a particular, I don't know, event, or like, are you getting together with a friend, or, you know, something like that? Do you need to kind of carve out money for that? And, you know, even if it's like getting together with a friend or something, we still put a monetary amount to it, and then if I spend more or less, we make note of that. Like, it's not the end of the world. You just note it so that you know for the next time you get together with a friend, okay, maybe next time we should budget a little bit more. So I think something that's really important is to not be so hard on yourself. Like, budgeting is very, very important, but also like, take baby steps, you know, especially when you first start. How long have you been a stay-at-home mom? So I've technically been a stay-at-home mom since Daisy was born. Like, yes, when I tutored, I had to leave the house, but it was for like 3 days a week for like an hour. So it wasn't anything crazy. So my answer to that is going to be since she was born, which is almost 4 years. All right, do you wear glasses? Yes. So I feel like I never wear them in my videos. I am nearsighted, which means like it's hard for me to see far away. Even now where the camera is, this is driving me nuts because this, like, you are not crisp to me when I'm looking in my viewfinder. It's very blurry. My vision is not terrible by any means, but when it's dark, when it's nighttime, my vision is worse. And yeah, I just can't see far away. When I'm driving, it's really hard to see street signs, and really like anything off in the distance. You haven't seen me wear them on the channel very frequently because the videos that I film don't really require glasses. Like my what I eat in a days and my hauls, I don't need to have my glasses on really. And then my sit down videos, I would love to wear my glasses because like I said, I could see the viewfinder a lot better. But because I have a ring light now, it's just so distracting. Like, the ring light has such a glare on the lenses that it's just not worth it to me. But like my family and my close friends, like, they essentially only know Ashley in glasses. Like, I am always wearing glasses, and they're basically like just they're like a part of me, but I feel like I never wear them on this channel anymore. It's a little odd. All right, another budgeting question. How do you stay on budget during the holidays? I mean, it's tricky. I definitely think that it's important to, you know, like it was asked, you know, what do you budget for? I think it's important to carve out, you know, different budgeting sections for things around the holidays, and that's what holds us accountable. So, you know, I am contributing to Christmas dinner, so we have a budget for that. I am obviously, but we're obviously buying gifts for a lot of different people. We created a budget for that. So I kind of feel like even us in the past, like, you get to a point where you look at, you know, any certain month and you're like, well, what's the point of budgeting because we have all of these expenses? And it's like, well, no, like, you should still, you know, budget for those expenses. Think of how much you're going to be spending. Set your, you know, a barometer for yourself in terms of like, okay, like, we're going to be spending this much money. Or even if you're unsure, to be like, here's how much like we want to spend, and if you spend more or less, to still document it. I think that that's really important. So like, we went through everyone who we had to buy for Christmas and wrote out like, here's what we want to spend, here's what we want to spend, whether it was Daisy or whether it was like an uncle or like, you know, anybody. That's just kind of how we did it, and it worked perfectly. Like, this year everything came out like in a wash. Some people we spent, you know, exactly what we said. Some people we spent more, some people we spent less, but it truly came out in a complete wash between like, we spent less, we spent more. It ended up coming out equal. So I would just say that, like, holidays or even just special events in general, like, budget for that. Don't just say like, well, we have this like expensive dinner, we can't, you know, this month's shop because we have to spend so much money on that. No, plan for that. Okay, somebody asked, are you teaching Daisy Tagalog or other languages, or do you want to? So Tagalog is a Filipino dialect, if you are curious. It's a Filipino language. And we're not actively teaching her it, but she definitely knows like words here and there. My mother-in-law speaks it fluently, so she picks up words, and Cernan knows some words. Interesting fact, I guess, when Cernan was in kindergarten, the kindergarten teacher told his mom to stop speaking Tagalog to him because it was too confusing, you know, him trying to learn English, and also with Tagalog being spoken in the home, which, like, can you even imagine if that happened nowadays? So she, you know, she knows certain words, but we're not teaching it to her. She is so interested in Spanish. Like, she's always asking how to say certain words in Spanish. She watches shows where they speak Spanish here and there, and so we're definitely kind of trying to cultivate that. Like, anytime she asks me what a word means, I tell her. I took 8 years of Spanish between high school and college, so I am pretty well versed when it comes to, like, you know, at least knowing like basic vocabulary. So I definitely am going to continue to work on that with her because she's actually interested, which, to learn another language, like, if you're actually interested, that's, you know, that's step one. Do I have any phobias? Yes. So I was gonna say yes and no. I mean, I do. I have a great fear of drowning. I don't know if I would call it like a phobia, to where, like, you know, I don't know, if someone had a phobia of drowning, I would think like they wouldn't even be able to like go in water. But I just have a big fear of like drowning in general. Myself drowning, Daisy drowning. Anytime we go over a bridge, I'm like terrified. Like, I just start thinking about, I'm not terrified, like I can go over the bridge without, you know, having an issue, but I just start thinking about like if the car went off the bridge and then we were stuck in the water. I feel like drowning is one of the worst ways to pass, or worst things to experience, because you have like you have no control. Like, if you can't get up and out of the water, you can't get up and out of the water, and I feel like it's just a very slow death, and it terrifies me. Do you miss teaching? Somebody said. So if you're unaware, I used to work at an elementary school. When we lived in Seattle, I was a nanny for a while, and then I got a job at an elementary school, and I worked specifically in special ed. And I did like behavioral work with certain students. It was in a pretty, like, pretty much exclusively like it was like an autism program. So I would do behavioral work with students, and then I would also teach small groups. So basically I would pull certain students, like maybe they're in 3rd grade but they're reading at a 1st grade level, or they're in 2nd grade and they can only do like kindergarten level math. So I'd basically pull them out of their classroom and teach. There's a part of me that misses it. It was a very stressful job. Teachers don't get nearly the credit nor the pay that they deserve. So I would be lying if I said like I miss it so much I want to go back. All of that being said, those years that I was working there with those students in particular, and the staff and everything, I learned the most about myself. I learned so much about myself, like as a person, what I can handle, what I can't handle, when I can be really patient, when I'm very impatient. I met my best friends at that job, and I wouldn't trade it for anything in the world. But I would be lying if I said I missed it. Like, missing it is not like an emotion that I feel when it comes to that in particular. Now, I guess you could also be talking about when I was teaching English to kids in China. That I kind of do miss. Like, I wish the hours weren't so nuts. Y'all, I was waking up at like 4 a.m. To teach. It was so early. So I you know, if that's that's the question, I do kind of miss that. It's out of the comfort of my own home. It's kids who are eager to learn English. Like, these kids want nothing more than to learn the English language, and I really did love doing that. If it was a thing where it was like, guess what, you can do this job and you get to do it at like a decent hour in the day, then I would highly contemplate it. But that's not an option at this current time. Perfect date night. I know Mari asked this question. She is my YouTube friend, but also like my Instagram bestie. We're always like messaging about random and various things. So perfect date night. I would just say like going out to eat and then like coming home and binge watching some show we're currently into. That's like, that's just what I enjoy. I like trying different restaurants. I like trying different food. So I think like going out to someplace new and then coming home and watching like 3 episodes of some show we can't get enough of, like I'm easy. Like, that's it for me. Something that would surprise your viewers. Well, I guess since we were talking about like teaching, I don't think I've talked a lot about my like educational background. So I guess, I mean, I don't know if that would be like surprising, but it's definitely something I don't think I've really touched on much. So I went to, when I finished high school, I graduated in 2005. When I finished high school, I went to a junior college. I did 2.5 years at a junior college, and then I did 2.5 years at like a Cal State, CSU school. And my whole plan like was to be a teacher. Like that's what I was going to do. So when I was at the CSU school, I think I had been there maybe a year when Cernan and I decided that we were gonna get married and then we were moving to Seattle. And I'll spare you the details, but like we were moving there because of his job. We volunteered to move there, but like we weren't just like, where should we go? Let's go to Seattle. Like, we were going there like with purpose, I guess I should say. So my plan was to go to this Cal State school, finish up my bachelor's, and then get a teaching credential in their like credential program. But we decided we were gonna move to Seattle. So then my plan pivoted to getting my bachelor's there and then getting my credential, which in Washington, they call it certification, my teaching certification in Washington. So I got my bachelor's in December of 2010. We got married in June of 2011 and then moved to Seattle. So once we were in Seattle for a good bit, I applied to get into their the teaching certification program at UW, at University of Washington, and I didn't get in. You would have thought, it's so interesting, like now that I'm this much older, right? Because this was in 2012 and it's obviously about to be 2021. So almost like 9 years ago, essentially. I thought the world was ending. Like, I thought everything around me was crumbling. I thought my life was over. I was just like beside myself. The application process to get into that program was insane. I was like having to like cold call teachers that I had to give me letters of rec. It was absolutely crazy. It was the most daunting process. And then to find out that you don't get in. Yeah, so like I said, it's very interesting now to see what my, like, I feel like it's almost like outside looking in, right? Like looking at my reaction as a 24-year-old, because it wasn't the end of the world. And I went on to do great things and work at a great school and learn the value of special ed and meet my best friends, and none of that would have happened if I would have gotten into UW and gotten into that program. So everything happens for a reason. I know that's so cliche and sounds so dumb, but in the moment, you might not think everything happens for a reason, but let me tell you, once you're out of that moment, it truly does. It makes sense. And I'm so glad that I didn't get into that program. Okay, favorite Taylor Swift song. As a Taylor Swift stan since 2009, maybe? This is rude. Like, this is a very difficult question. And here's the thing, I've given this some thought. I could easily like give you a cop-out answer and be like, well, I can't just name one, so I'm gonna name my top 3. Or I'm gonna name one from each album. I could easily go that route, but I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna give you my most favorite Taylor Swift song from top to bottom, musically, lyrically, is it a bop? Is it a jam? Can I scream, sing it in the car? And the song that I think is the best and fits the bill for all of those categories is All Too Well. All Too Well is from her Red album. And I was floored when this song came out. We were living in Seattle, and I remember when this album came out, and as soon as it came out, like to the minute when it came out, I downloaded it, and I could not get over this song. Even if you don't like Taylor Swift, even if you think she's annoying, put this song on, close your eyes, listen to it. It is a story told in 3.5 minutes. It is a lyrical masterpiece tied with a little bow at the end. Like, it is songwriting perfection, and there's a reason why, like, in the Taylor Swift like fandom community, All Too Well is like here and everything else is here. Okay, someone said, how did we choose Daisy as a name? Now, I do have a video coming out that's all about baby names I was gonna use either for Daisy once we knew she was a girl, or just like boy names before we knew we were having a girl, that obviously we didn't use. And I touch a little bit on this, but to answer it just quickly, I had a job once at a daycare, and there was a kid named Daisy, and that name always stuck in my brain because I just thought it was like the cutest thing ever. And once I was pregnant, the name kind of came back to me like 8 years later, and we were kind of toying between 2 different ones, and we just kind of settled on that. So, not settled, we chose that, like that's the name we wanted. But that's kind of how it started, was I remembered from that job the name of that kid, and I loved it so much. How did we choose an espresso versus a Ninja or some other type of espresso machine? So we actually had an espresso eons ago, years ago, and really liked it. So that was kind of like number one, is we kind of knew what the machine was like. Now, when we had an espresso, they were only making espresso pods. They weren't making also coffee pods. When we had one like, I don't know, 7 or 8 years ago. The whole reason we picked an espresso again though was because of that, but also because, I'm looking for what I should wrap next, here we go. Also because I wanted something with pods. Like I know, I've heard of like the Ninja, there's another one, is it Breville? Or something with a B that makes like an espresso machine. But and some people like that, right? Some people like that they can pick their own espresso, their own coffee. I don't care about that. Like, I just want something that's easy. And frankly, like, I feel like with the Keurig, a lot of K-Cups are kind of like cheap, and maybe the coffee's not as good. So it helps to have like one of the reusable K-Cups where you can put your own stuff in it. But when it comes to Nespresso, like all of their stuff is quality. So I knew that I would be getting the ease of using pods, but also quality in what's in those pods. And that's kind of why I chose, or I should say we chose opting for an espresso. All right, last question, friends. How are you handling quarantine? Are you feeling all right about it? I'm handling it fine now. There was a time there in like May and June where I was having a really rough time. Like I felt very like sad. I was very depressed. I was just over it. that was not a good time for me. But since like late in the summer till now, I have felt okay. We're currently kind of back where we were in March. I'm in Southern California. All of our stores are limited capacity. Like we went to the outlets today and we were there for 2.5 hours and we went to 2 stores because we had to wait in lines. No restaurants are open for any type of like dine-in, whether it's like inside, outside, nothing. Can only get takeout. And that's because our ICUs are at 0%. So I kind of just, you know, think of people who have lost people to this, and I just feel like we're doing what we can do, which is stay inside as much as possible, use masks when we go out, and for me, it almost like makes quarantine easier. And I know this is gonna sound really weird, or really, I don't know what the word is, but I kind of feel like an expert at it now. Like I'm not as intimidated as I was in the beginning, where I'm like, what am I gonna do with Daisy all day? Like, how am I gonna keep her busy? It's like, now I kind of just know the ropes, and it makes it like somewhat easier. Trust me, I want this to be over as soon as everybody else does, but the truth of the matter is that it's at least in Southern California, like it's not gonna be ending anytime soon. So I am handling it okay, and I'm feeling a lot better than I was earlier in the year. All right, y'all, that's it from me. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. I hope you like this Q&A. It's gonna be very long because I've had to restart my camera because my memory card only films for like 25 minutes and then clicks off, and I've had to restart it twice. So it's gonna be a long video, friends. But if you did like it, please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you're not subscribed. Drop me a comment down below. Just a reminder, if you asked any questions about low carb or keto or that transition, that will all be answered in a video coming very shortly. So I didn't forget about you. And I will see you tomorrow for yet another day of Vlogmas. Bye.